Hello everyone, my name is Justin and I make videos on WGU, graduate studies, the career journey, anything that pertains to you being a student, how I can help, how I can support, and offer some advice based on my experience. So I did a WGU program and I did that for 6 months or just under 6 months. And I also have done lots of other school in the past, including another master's degree and a bachelor's and a associate's degree. So today I want to talk about this idea that you will need to motivate yourself to work through the program with ease, irrespective if you get the support of your mentor. It could be an instructor, that may or may not be giving you support, as well as the enrollment counselors, even at the beginning of the process. And I'll tell you a little bit about my experience and how that somewhat influenced my understanding of, how often people do an accelerated degree at WGU, and then what I did to basically kind of disregard some of the negative input I got along the way. So stay tuned. Originally, I made a video way back at the beginning of this channel about my experience in the enrollment process, which was a little bit cumbersome. And that was mainly because I was an international student because I'm from Canada. But I did have kind of some negative experiences as well with my enrollment counselors, which I don't know necessarily if I can create a blanket statement and say they're all like this, but the ones that I had, and I had 3 separate ones because they kept passing me around to different enrollment counselors. They seem to have this idea that, the accelerated path was for the few and far between, and it definitely wasn't something that was common. So, when I first enrolled, I was surprised to see that there was an enrollment counselor that just said that it's very unlikely that I would finish in 6 months. And I kind of was startled by that because I thought, I surely can't be the only one thinking about this, because there's a lot of people online talking about their journey. And she said it was, very rare that people finish in that time. So then in the next enrollment counselor, they said that it is possible, but to basically have a contingency plan to say, it's probably going to be more likely that I would finish in a year, this master's program, or even longer. So, I didn't really get the support I was looking for. Now, luckily, when I was paired with my mentor, she was very supportive, but I really had to create a case for myself. I had to explain, why I thought I could do well in this program and why I could accelerate. And so I told her, I had a previous master's degree. I said, I was really proficient at writing, and almost all of my assessments were writing, so performance assessments, papers. And then I kind of explained, I kind of outlined my schedule and how I was going to complete this program. And I think that is useful to outline it. But I really had to convince her that I could do this. And once I did, she was kind of in full support. And there is a document that she shared with me that kind of gives me a planned outline of how to complete it in 6 months, which I didn't find actually very useful because it seemed to think that I needed to finish a course in a week, which you don't necessarily need to. It left a lot of room at the end to do the capstone. And I just think, if you're good at research, if you're good at building momentum through the whole course, you don't need 3 months at the end to do this capstone project. I did mine in less than 2 weeks. And, I had instructors that were pretty supportive. I had told them, I need to kind of get things done fast. So I was booking appointments back to back a lot of the time, where I was meeting with an instructor on one day and a couple days later I was meeting with them again just to refine my assignments. So a lot of them were really supportive. I mean, in any case, they're not really my mentor, so they were just hey, you do you. If that's what you're wanting to do. But I never really heard a lot of success stories from WGU of people who did it in under 6 months. My mentor did say that kind of in that time period, there was one person that did it in 2 months, the master's degree in the same one that I had done, which was Curriculum and Instruction, which I thought was remarkable. I was 2 months, and she was it blew her mind away. She said still to that day that she really didn't understand how someone could complete it that fast. It almost seemed like the person had been working every day and night and basically submitting assignment every couple of days. So it was possible, but beyond that, I really didn't know other people. And, that's where I came to YouTube to start to look at different stories. Now, how I actually got acquainted with WGU was through someone online who's a teacher named 𝗀𝗍cie𝗴𝗿𝗺, I believe is her name. Maybe I'll put a screenshot of her YouTube video that she made about her experience. Now, her channel isn't specific to WGU, but she did do the same program that I did, and did it in under 6 months. Now, in that video, she actually talked about at the very beginning, she had mentioned that her mentor basically said, no, you can't get this done in 6 months. And she used that as motivation to prove her mentor wrong. And she actually did get it done in 6 months. And she made a lot of good suggestions in that video. She talked a little bit about how she did basically 1 day a week dedicated to WGU, which is what I tried to do. I tried to use a Saturday and part of a Sunday. So I kind of followed her approach. I actually emailed her, but I never got an email back. I emailed her like before I even started the program because I just wanted to learn a little bit more about this, like the type of assignments. I was very unfamiliar with WGU at the time, but that's okay. You know, obviously she's a busy teacher. But what I would say is that it is good to connect with people who have done the program in a short period of time, just to kind of remind yourself that it is possible. And if you are getting inundated with other opinions, it could be outside of WGU, like your family, friends, colleagues, whatnot, that's saying like, that's crazy. Like, how could you do a program in less than 6 months? Don't let that get in your way. Use people who have proven the path or proven that they've done this successfully as your motivation, right? And that's why I continue to make these videos, because I find that, you know, I was kind of desperately trying to find these videos while I was a student. And so, you know, I just thought, why not make my own? And then I can motivate myself. And interestingly, I actually used to go back and watch my videos to kind of act as a historical record of like how I was evolving. And it's just really interesting to see how I started the program and some of the things I learned along the way. I do think that there are certain personality types or personality structures that lend to this idea of being determined, really kind of persevering, even in the face of discomfort or even failure. Like maybe you get off track for a couple weeks or even a month, but they're able to pick themselves back up. And, you know, I just want to mention this because, you know, even if you don't have any support or you're not really paying attention to any success stories, you may also need to just be your own success story and remind yourself of kind of all the little successes along the way. So for me, I always thought back to that very first course I did. Like, it was my first course. I did it in 2 days. I got an award of excellence for that paper. And, you know, there were multiple people from WGU that were recognizing that paper as really well done. And I kind of constantly thought about that as, you know, wow, if I could do that in my first course, I can do this throughout. So you have to use different mechanisms for keeping yourself determined and saying to yourself, like, I can do this. I know there are times where we fall off the bandwagon because I was there. And I know there are times where it's just not enjoyable and you're thinking, well, why am I doing this? So it goes back to that other thing that I talk about in other videos, which is figure out why you're doing this and keep that at the forefront of your mind, or put it on a Post-it note or create a vision board or whatever you need to do to remind yourself of why you're doing this. I mean, if you're doing it just to prove to yourself you can do it fast, that might not be enough of a reason. For me, financially, I really didn't have a lot of money to spare. I had some money to put away for, you know, extra schooling, but I needed to reserve other money because my job was a little bit in turmoil. Another thing for me that was motivating was just knowing that I'm very achievement driven. And I just kind of kept reminding myself, you know, if I can do this, you know, these assignments in this day and I can prove it, I would get this little boost of excitement. And I think I'm motivated by those small wins. And then even that big win was a very, very good feeling at the end when I looked back and said, wow, I can't believe I did that. And I still today can't necessarily believe how I did it all, because I like I've said in other videos, I was working a lot. You know, I was dealing with some stressful situations in my life. Some of you may not know, but I also deal with some health issues. So it was quite a big success. And so you have to remind yourself of that, or other people hopefully can remind you of that if you're paying attention to those people that are rooting for you, shaking their pom-poms for you and saying like, you can do this. So I hope this video was useful for motivating you. I know there's a kind of a new cohort because it's the end of the month today, so there'll be a new cohort, and I can always know that because I seem to get a couple new subscribers around the end of a month, which is interesting, right? Because they're getting excited about their start of their term. So good luck to those who are starting out, and good luck to those that are finishing off or just trying to finish some of your assignments this week, this month, whatever your scheduling is, and I will see you in the next video.